So how do you find confidence in yourself to speak up when you're at a table that's mostly male dominated, if you're in a boardroom meeting or executive teams meeting? How do you find the confidence to speak up?
I think you gain more confidence each time you do it.
Welcome to Stories from the River, a show in which we go behind the scenes at Broad River Retail.
Kind of back to what Sam was talking about, having an ally. I have always been fortunate to have an ally in the room with me, somebody that I can look to that will nod, like, it's okay, go ahead and say what you want to say. So I've always had that person. And here at Broad River, I have a lot of those people that have really encouraged me and then finally pushed me. I can remember several years ago, for a brief time, I was reporting directly to Charlie while we had some changes in leadership. And one of the things that I told him I wanted to do was be better at public speaking and have more confidence to be able to speak up in a group. And he said that he didn't realize that was an opportunity for me because he felt like I did a good job. And just hearing that from him gave me a lot of confidence. But I think you just get better each time you do it. Yeah. I think as women, we go back and analyze every single word we said and think, is it valuable? Did we add something? Did we impact somebody? And we really analyze what we say, probably more than men do. And we can harp on it. And like you said, Hope, that can linger for days or weeks, right? If we don't think we did a good job. And just teaching myself to let it go. I said it, it's out there in the world, and now I got to let it go. And that's freeing and makes it easier each time. But I'm still learning to do that.
It's still nerve-wracking. I mean,
Yes,
I don't care how many times you've done it.
Yes,
it's just like the first time when you have to stand up, whether it's 15 people or 150 people. So
because I think for women, we act more on instinct and like that gut feeling, and men rely more on data. And so it's hard when you are coming from EQ versus IQ, when everybody in the room is talking statistics and a lot of math, and you want to talk about a lot of love. It does, you feel less than. But we've got some great leaders here that recognize it takes both. So
and kind of bolster that confidence.
Yeah.
Because you may have the IQ and you know the numbers, but we'll get into that in just a few more questions. But it is hard. I mean, I realize that. Sam, do you find that to be true?
100%. I think that I happen to lay on both sides of the coin. I love data, but I also love people. And becoming the expert at what you're presenting or what you're talking about in the moment is really the best thing you can do. So, don't go into that room unprepared, and women typically don't. But I would say that I asked Christian, who used to be with the River, he would just stand up in a room full of people and just kind of say whatever came to his mind, like whatever was, heavy on his heart and that he wanted to share with the group. And I'm one who's like writing something out and trying to memorize it or remember key bullet points to make sure I mention in, what I'm saying. And he's like, stop doing that. You're just tripping yourself up. So, having that person to help guide you through those uncomfortable, situations, especially public speaking, is really great. But then, like you said, the more experience, you get better every time you do it.
Yeah.
But then also exposure, like who you're presenting to or who you're talking to or having, a meeting with is very important. Like if I'm sitting down with Anita or you, Mom, I feel very comfortable and like I can say exactly what I'm feeling and exactly what I'm thinking, even if I don't know the answer, it's okay. But if I sit down, with Charlie or Manny, I might feel a little bit reserved or not like I can be. Yeah, exactly. Like I can't 100% be myself. Like I need to be kind of on and professional and ready instead of just like silly and laughy like I would be with you guys. And I don't think that that's necessarily the case. It's just what we've done to ourselves. Like we feel that way, but it's not necessarily what Charlie and Manny would want from us. They want to encourage us to be ourselves and silly and relaxed. But it's just we've put that much pressure. So the more exposure you have to the right people, the more experience you have, and becoming an expert are really the things that I think stand out for me.
Right. And I think you can prepare. You can't over prepare. I get that. But if you're not prepared, it feels like to me I don't have respect for the people that I'm going to be talking to. And I'm not making myself better by not doing the research, by not doing the talking points. We're all sitting here with our pieces of paper.
Except Anita.
Except Anita, because she's a fly
naturally
by
wonderful.
the seat of her
Yes.
pants kind of gal,
Yes,
and she's done beautifully. But I think that preparation is key. Are you guys familiar with the term imposter syndrome?
Yes.
Do you feel? We had a resounding yes in the last session too. I remember going through the Wobie forum back in 2020 when we were all at home, and I heard this guy talking about this, and I'm like, it hit me right between the eyes, because it was like, how long have I felt this way and not known that there was an actual term for this? And I remember asking in that group chat, for questions and things like that. But my question was, do you think that affects more women than it does men? Or do you think it's maybe split down the middle? We just have more of an EQ to voice what we're feeling. Anita, what do you feel about that?
That's a hard question. I'm not sure. I feel like women feel that more, but I've never stopped to ask a man if they have.
I agree.
I'm just speaking from just being a woman myself, that I definitely have felt imposter syndrome. Sometimes still feel it today, depending on situations and that you're in. But I can't say that it's just something that women feel. Now that I think about it, I'm sure there are men that feel that way. When you're in certain rooms with people, you don't feel like you actually should be there. That you're not smart enough. All the things we've been talking about through this whole thing, you feel those things, and then hopefully something triggers or somebody brings you back to realization, like, yes, you're supposed to be right here. This is where you're supposed to be. But yeah, I'm sure men feel that way. Sure.
Renee, what about you?
I think it's probably closer to 50-50 than we believe it is. I think it's exactly what you said, that women have become more comfortable expressing it. But I also feel like women have a harder time. I don't think that we're so comfortable expressing it as it is that we can't control it. So for example, for me, and I think for a lot of women that I've spoken to, even at Broad River, when we're super angry or really frustrated, we're going to cry. And when we think we've done a bad job or we don't think we've done a good job, we cry. And for women, a lot of times that's seen as a weakness, that we're overly emotional and we're not able to compartmentalize. And I think men who are feeling imposter syndrome see the reaction to women who are outwardly showing it, and they're like, okay,
let's bottle that up.
Yeah, exactly. Let's bottle that up, because I don't want to be seen as weak, or I don't want to be seen as emotional. So I think men just don't show it and are able to compartmentalize, but I don't know it's always healthy for them. But I think it happens probably far more than what we know. So I kind of feel bad for them for that, because they should be able to express it and verbally or outwardly process it with a mentor. And so, yeah, I definitely think it's equal. I don't think that it's something just exclusive to women.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of that.
I hadn't either.
Yeah.
But just as she was talking, I was thinking about, and I hope they're not upset that I'm calling them out, but Stacy and Charlie have both cried in presentations or speaking events that I've seen, and I appreciate that vulnerability so much. It makes you feel like, okay, I can do this. Like if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah,
and
it's safe.
It is. It
They
makes
create
you
a
feel
safe place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I love that we have that in our own organization to look up to.
I
they're
think
not.
you see
they're
that
not afraid of the
passion coming
feeling.
through when that comes out,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes you feel a little bit more safer in what you're doing to further that and to help them foster that.
But I also feel like, and not Charlie and Stacy, I'm talking about in other other companies that I've worked for. When men cried, if they had a vulnerable moment here or there, it was like, oh, they're so awesome. Look what they've done. They're just so vulnerable, and we love that about them. But then when women did it, it was like, there she goes again.
so
Like,
emotional.
suck it up, get it together. You got to have thicker skin if you're going to make it in this industry. So I think that sometimes men are praised for their vulnerability, and then women are judged for their
That's a good point.
vulnerability.
Wow.
Way to get back to women
Double
empowerment.
But yeah,
standard.
but at Broad River, I think that one of the things that drew me I can't say drew me here because I didn't know it till I got here, but have made me so loyal to Broad River is that we do have a safe place or a safer place.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. So I know I have two fellow Swifties on the panel here with me.
Absolutely.
And there's a song from the Lover album called "The Man."
Yes.
Yes. Hope I was
listened to it this morning.
hoping you would bring that up today.
I
could
listened
not
to it
be
on the
more
drive
happy
in
this
today.
moment.
Yeah.
It's
Would you
one
like
of my
me to sing it for you?
Well, you have a
'cause I don't know
mic.
what y'all talking about.
It's one of my treadmill songs, but the lyrics say, I'm so sick of running as fast as I can, wondering if I'd get there quicker if I was a man. Do you think your career and your advancement would have been different had you been a man, Anita?
Okay, I'm probably going to come. I'm definitely going to speak about it in a different perspective. I'm not sure it would have, because I think Black men have also had a hard time getting promoted within, companies throughout the years. That has, of course, gotten better, like everything else has. So I'm not sure of that. Of that question. I'm not sure that they would have had a easier time than I have. I can't speak to that.
That's an interesting perspective and considered from a woman of color. Sam, how about you?
Yes.
Does that resonate with you?
Yes, 100%. And I'm not necessarily only talking about Broad River here, but I can pinpoint, a specific thing that happened in my previous role or in my previous company that I was really just gunning for this position that I knew I was going to be great at. And I knew I could do, and I was basically doing it, but got offered to a man who accepted it. And I had to work under him and kind of teach him in his role. And that was hard for me, but I was very young, and I'm still learning every day. I'm still young and I'm growing up every day. But I think that was a big learning moment for me. That was like an aha moment. Like I am fully qualified for this position. I know I could kill it in this role, yet I still didn't get the opportunity to do it. And, instead of facing it and being defeated or upset, I just ran towards it even more. Just because it wasn't available in that moment didn't mean it couldn't become available again in the future. So it did very quickly, ironically enough, and then I was promoted into it, which I'm so thankful for. But I think for me, I'm constantly comparing myself to others, and especially men in similar roles or similar skill sets like that I possess, and that's just the worst thing you can do. We've talked a lot about getting out of your own head and comparing yourself to those people, and trying to run as fast as you can to get caught up to the man. It's exhausting, and the quicker you can get out of your own head and realize that you're gonna be given that opportunity. You just have to be patient, and it's gonna come.
That's
the better.
deep. Look at the young one with the deepness there.
That's why she's my mentor.
Man, you taught her well.
Thank you.
Renee, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, and I honestly, I think that it's still happening today. I think that men don't realize that they're doing that. I don't think men realize they're choosing men, but I also can understand it to a point. Women naturally are drawn to women. So if we are in a meeting or we are at a conference, we're going to look for other women to sit with. Like, we identify with ourselves, right?
Yeah.
No, and that's no different for men. Like, I understand it. So I think that there's a part of it that just happens naturally as human beings, and it's not necessarily a bias against women. I think we naturally want to be with like people. But I also feel like a lot of times that as women, when we are speaking up or we do have an idea or a comment or a suggestion, we almost apologize for it. Like, I'm sorry, I'm the one that's saying this, or we'll start with, I don't think you want to hear this, but, or I'm sorry to tell you, but, and then, so we're setting ourselves up to be seen as less than because we're apologizing up front, like we're about to do something wrong.
Right.
That's one of the things that I'm working on this year for myself. A commitment that I've made to myself is to apologize less. I mean, I don't have to apologize for my thoughts or opinions.
Right.
But what I see happening a lot of times still is women will say something softly, and then a few minutes later, and it's heard. I feel like it's heard. And then a man will say the same thing you just said. And everybody will be like,
Mansplaining.
yeah, yeah. But it'll be the same
Mansplaining.
thing. And in my head, I'm like, didn't I just say that? Like they're just twisting it, twisting a few words. And so I think that still happens. I think that when we say something, people don't automatically buy in, but I think they're processing it and then they're spitting it back out. And then
I'm going to add on to that because I think Stacy has brought clarity. You know, clarity is like a big word we use at the river all the time. And when you're repeating something back to gain clarity or make sure you understood it right is one thing.
One thing.
But to mansplain and repeat what you just said purely for the sake of repeating it because you think you might have presented the information better or said it more eloquently or I don't know, just put it in your own spin or own words. That's something totally different. And I think seeking clarity is A-okay, and I understand that and fully support it, and I do it every day now because of Stacy and his seeing the same dog message. But mansplaining, not okay.
Right.
Not okay.
And I think
Not
we
okay.
have to call it out, just like you were saying.
Exactly.
You can do it in the kindest way possible, but we need to make sure, because sometimes people just don't realize maybe
That's what they're doing.
that's
Maybe
what
they
they're
don't.
doing. And it's our responsibility to say, this is
Hey.
what you're doing.
No.
Right?
It's an unconscious bias on their part.
Exactly.
They're not
Exactly.
looking at it that way. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about modern motherhood. I know we have an interesting dynamic on the stage. We have a mother and a daughter. Sam, I watched you become a mom, not once, not twice, but 3 times since you've been here. And she has these beautiful boys. And Anita, we have children who are older. Renee as well. You have adult children. You guys are in your grandmotherhood years. So what have you learned as a parent that has better prepared you to lead a team, Anita?
Being patient, being understanding, being kind, holding my grown children accountable, which helps me to do all those things for my team, but also being able to hold people accountable, because I think that's where the growth is. When you can show and praise someone for doing the best work possible, and then giving them that extra help or explaining where things may have fallen a little bit short or where there's other opportunity. Like, that's important. I have to do that with my kids because, I want them to live great adult lives. So all their lives I've had to show them where they were doing something great, where there was something that needed some improvement. And that type of that learnings from them has helped me with my team, because we have to be able to help people grow. And you don't just grow from the great things that you do. You grow from learning when you have made those tiny mistakes or small things that just didn't go the way that they were planned, being able to take that and help them grow to the next level so they don't make the same mistakes over. Like, that's the type of thing that I think being a parent or being a mom or now a grandmother, has helped me to be hopefully a better leader for my team.
That's interesting. Do you find the same to be true, Renee?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that as a mom, you realize that everything you do and say is being watched and probably will be repeated, right? So we have to be really careful about what you do and what you say. And I think it's kind of the same at work as a leader. Is you're always being watched and you're always being heard, right? And a lot of times it's going to be repeated. So make sure that you're doing and saying the things that you want them to do and say. I think as a mom, you realize, when you're young and dumb is the saying, but you don't realize that you are truly shaping a human being, right? And that's a huge responsibility. And I think there's a reason why we have children at a younger age than at the age that we have now, because now you understand it a lot more, what you're doing. And I think it's the same thing at the workplaces where we are helping to shape people, and whether they're going to be future leaders or they're just going to get better at what they're doing now, or even helping prepare them to do something completely different down the road. But it's a huge sense of responsibility that you're helping shape them into a different person. And so I think that's the most important thing that we do. It's not, yes, productivity is so important. I mean, we work for a company and we have to be productive, and do our jobs. But I think it's an incredible almost do-over. Like you're a mom, but you get to do it all over again with your team. And then with grandchildren, you really get to do it all over again. From a whole different perspective. And that's amazing. But again, you're being watched and listened to, and, and you don't realize that you're an immediate role model for these little tiny humans.
Right.
And it's great.
And our end game as moms is to, produce marriable, acceptable members of society who are going to go on and achieve great things. And it's kind of the same for your team as well. You're trying to prepare them to be the next level of leaders because, you're not going to be there forever, or to move on into a different organization and hopefully use some of the foundation that they found.
Yeah. It's legacy, like your legacy at home as a mom, as a daughter, as a leader. I mean, I remember, I hope you remember, and Anita, I don't know if you were here then, but we had a guest speaker that did like a fireside chat, Chad Spencer, and he talked about, what do you want to be, if you went to your own funeral, what do you want to hear people say about you? And I just remember leaving that with that, I think it was a summit, and thinking, that's an incredible way to live your life.
Right.
Like if you make every decision or treat people, it's just about how you treat people. If you treat people in a way that they will say great things about you at your funeral, you've done okay. It's more about how you treat people. At your funeral, they're going to talk about how you treated them and what you meant to them, and how you helped and supported them, more than, hey, she had the best KPIs out of everybody in the, I don't,
A couple of months ago, we heard, and you sat right beside me, we heard Molly Grantham
I was going to bring her up. I'm so glad you did.
That balance is BS, that it's more about a juggle than it is a balance. Do you agree with that, Sam? You have 3 small boys.
Yes, I do. And they are crazy, and I love them. And it's fantastically crazy and chaotic all the time. But she really spoke to my heart that day. I think that, looking back on my career so far, before I had my children, I was 100% invested in work. That was my baby. I did not put the computer down. I did not leave the building until, I felt like I had done everything I wanted to accomplish that day. And then Nicholas came along, and I was like, I think I'd rather be home with him, after 5 o'clock or whatever it may be. So the juggling really became prevalent for me 6 years ago. Almost 7 years ago. But I didn't realize it until now when Molly spoke to us, because I was still trying to do the balance where, you're holding something up. I think you said that you might, apply more focus on one area and let something else fall. And that's still happening in my life, and learning to embrace it and be comfortable with it. And it's okay if something doesn't get done, or if, my husband has to pick up the slack for me a day because work is taken over. It's okay that happens. And that's hard for mothers of young children. I will also piggyback on what you said about them learning and watching and repeating. That happens frequently. And on my team specifically, I have Brittany, who is a service manager, and I've basically created a mini me, and that's terrible. It's awful. She's gotten all of my great qualities, which is fantastic, but then she also has all of my areas of opportunity. So every time we have an Elevate plan or a professional development conversation, her areas of opportunity are the exact same as my areas of opportunity. So I'm like, shoot, I did this to her. Then we laugh about it and joke about it and watch courses and take
we're going to do better.
Exactly. But somehow we always kind of fall back in and then pick ourselves back up. And so it's so true that, what you put out there are what you're going to get back. And those people who do need you to lead them through certain situations or push them outside of that comfort zone are watching you as their model and kind of taking what you're teaching them in. So just be mindful of that.
Yeah. Lynn Knowles brought up, someone on her team said, imagine your juggle balls, some are glass and some are rubber. And the glass ones you don't want to drop, but the rubber ones, they're going to bounce back up anyway.
That's a great way.
That is a great way to say it.
And think of that, your kids and your marriage and your home are probably going to be the glass balls. And work, maybe a glass ball sometimes, but
Mhm.
sometimes it's going to be a rubber ball.
Yep.
Or as we transition into different areas of our life, and we're caregivers now for our aging parents and things like that, and we, those are definitely glass balls that you can't push to the side. So I thought that was an interesting perspective to think about. How do you find balance, or how do you juggle in your own life, Anita? You got a lot going on. You got a lot going on.
Well, you know what? I think that I have a great partner, my husband, who does a lot of the
say
job.
me.
And Samantha. But
Sorry, Vernon.
Yeah, I know, right? But I think it's having good relationships, right? With your family, with your work family, and just being able to depend on people, because sometimes you just can't, like you have glass that you cannot drop, and there's all this other stuff that has to be done. But I know I can call Sam and say, Sam, like this morning, I had to say, hey, or last night, actually on a Sunday night, I'm texting her, I need a favor. But I think, now in my life, my kids are grown, but I do have this grandbaby, and work is still work, life is still life, and there's always going to be juggling. There's always going to be something that just you can't give your full focus to. That will happen until the day we, leave this earth. So I think it's just having great relationships and knowing that you can depend on people when you need to, and they're going to help you kind of get out of that bind or work through whatever the issue may be. So
Connect 2024.
Connect 2024.
Connect 2024.
Connect 2024.
Unplanned.
It's not a cult. I'm teasing. That was a joke. So how do you help your team, Renee? How would you help your team to juggle and to find their own balance?
That's interesting, Hope, that you bring that up, because we were just having this conversation. I try really hard to encourage them to do that. I believe that we should bring our whole self to work. And I don't believe that it's work-life balance. I just believe it's life balance. Our jobs, our careers are important to us, and they are part of our life. So I don't see it as separate. I see that it's just one big life, and we're balancing that. And so I encourage my team to take their time off, to, anytime I know that they've got a special occasion or something that's important to them coming up, that I'm like, take that day, take that day, take that day. But I don't always do that for myself. I'm getting better at that, because I'm realizing as I get older that time really does fly by, and that there's moments that I'm not willing to miss. And that it's okay to speak up about that. And it's been fine to speak up about that. Now I'm just like, how dumb was I to miss things that I've missed that will never happen again. And so I think with age, you learn the importance of that. But with your team, I think that it's where emotional intelligence really comes in, and knowing your teammates on a deeper level than just what their production is going to be for you that day.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and when you remember those things and you talk to them about those things, or you ask how something's going, whether it be something that they're nervous about or something that they're excited about, whatever the case is, that makes your connection with them so much deeper. But also, again, they're watching and listening. So if I'm not doing that, if I'm talking about an occasion that they know would be important to me, and then I don't take the time off, or I don't attend, then I'm modeling the wrong thing. And then how uncomfortable is it for them then to ask for time, because they think if I'm not doing it, why should they do it?
Right.
So you're sending the wrong message by not doing it yourself, right? It's not that. I just had this conversation with Carl, like on a day off, I'm looking at emails. That's my choice. I'm not required to do that, but I enjoy that. And that's okay. I'm intentionally doing something because I'm choosing to, not because I'm required to. But on the same token, if I ask for a specific time off, I'm now asking for a specific time off for something that's important. And I think it's you have to model what you want them to feel. Like you have to model bringing your whole self to work, and being open about, hey, my family needs me, or I need this, right?
Mhm.
Like self-care is so important.
Right.
So I think it's just about modeling that and letting them know that it's safe to ask. It's
Right.
okay to ask.
Yeah. Take your time off. Don't
Yeah.
save it.
We're good.
'Cause
Yeah,
it's not going to do you any good.
that's exactly right.
All right. Last question. We can do this, and then we're going to move into some fun stuff. This has been so much fun. But Anita, I want to ask you, as a leader and a mother, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind?
I hope that people will remember me as someone who cared about people, someone who was funny, who found joy in life, who wanted to make sure that everyone around them felt loved and cared for, and hopefully given the opportunity that I helped them to succeed at whatever it was that they wanted to succeed in.
Oh, nice. That's a very good answer.
Thank
That's
you.
all we can ever ask for. Sam, how about you?
I think my number one would be silly.
Mm.
I have to have fun. I just
Mhm.
have to. It's just who I am. Present, genuine, caring, nurturing, dedicated. Those are all very important to me.
Well, you got a lot to do.
Got to set that bar.
Good thing you already have like 4 out of those
Oh my
5.
gosh.
So you're good. Renee, how about you?
I think for me, I want people to remember that I was kind and inclusive, that that I'm a safe place for everybody. Very little judgment. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I actively work on not judging and understanding and always seeing the light in everybody. I also think that I want to be seen as generous and that I've proved out that life is, whatever it is at home or at work, it's just a platform for us to do great things, and that you can take any circumstance that is thrown your way or any experience that is thrown your way and turn it into something great.
Yeah. I think we really need to be intentional with our time. And that doesn't matter if we're holding the glass ball or the rubber ball. You got to be
Yes.
intentional, because all the rest of those things will fall in line behind that
Exactly.
if we do that.
Yeah.
You're right. You're exactly
You guys
right.
have been wonderful. So let's have a little bit of fun.
Uh-oh.
Right.
Renee, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I wanted to be a detective or be in the FBI and
Can
or
I
the
tell you a
CIA.
story?
Yeah.
I'm a little girl, little Sam, in the backseat of a car. A fire truck goes by, an ambulance goes by, a police car goes by. We're Yuing and following them to figure out what happened. Can she help in any way? Because she has to help everyone. It's just who she is, which is why we love her. But the detective thing, for sure. We could not do anything as children that she didn't know about. Woo! I love you, Mom.
Secret Service. I really wanted to be on the Secret Service if I'm telling the whole truth. And when I was in education before I came into the furniture industry, we had a president that was visiting the school that I taught at, and it was so exciting. Everybody was so excited to meet the president, as was I. But the Secret Service was coming for 3 weeks prior to the presidential arrival. And that was probably 3 of the best weeks of my life. I got to know them. I got to see what they did. I mean, it was awesome. So
That's
yeah,
amazing.
I got to live out my dream for a few weeks.
Perfect. Sam?
I wanted to be a teacher. My mom started out as a teacher. My grandmother was a teacher. And I just loved playing school as a little girl. You know, the organization, the cute classroom stuff. I would help them do bulletin boards and cut out little worksheets and fun things for the kids to do. And that's what I thought I wanted to do. Then I had small children and I realized I did not want to do that.
The pandemic forced us home and we were all teachers. And like, absolutely not. I'm good. You need double the pay.
Yeah.
Anita, how
That's
about
exactly
you?
right.
What did you want to be?
I wanted to be a physical therapist,
Oh.
but science is hard.
It is.
The
Anatomy.
Yeah.
That's derailed a lot of those medical careers.
Yes.
It has.
So funny.
We'll continue back with you, Anita, and we'll go back that way. Anita, if you could have dinner with one person, living or dead, you know, a fictional character or just a real person, who would it be and why?
It would probably be Martin Luther King Jr. I know that's probably cliche, but I would want to ask him like where he found the fortitude and the courage and the knowledge and the know-how and all that stuff to lead a race of people. Not like a group but to lead people through a very tumultuous time and to stand up to so much tyranny, so much just craziness that he had to. And he did it, knowing that his family, could be in harm's way or whatever, but he had such a calling on his life that he did it anyway. So like where did you get all of that you had to have in order to do that?
Yeah, he had a lot of divine intervention.
Yes.
Yes, he did. Sam, how about you?
I don't know that I can top Anita's answer. I mean, I'll just join their dinner or lunch. I can't remember what you said now. But I would add Michelle Obama. I just love Michelle Obama. Like that, she is amazing to me. But what sticks out for me and why I'd want to have dinner or lunch with her is she said at one point, when they go low, we go high. And I love that saying. And I'd want to ask her more about that, learn more about that. How does she do that in her family? How does she do that like in the limelight that they've been in?
Of course.
Just anything she would be willing to share with me, I'd just soak it in.
I've watched the documentary that I think it's on Netflix now, and it's so good. I just want to ask her what she does to get her arms.
I was going to say she's got
the
some
best arms. And
And
hair.
she's beautiful.
Oh, man. Renee, how about you?
Well, my answer is going to be, I think, smaller, but just as important as theirs, and it would be with my sister-in-law. You almost got me through this without crying, Hope. So this was supposed to be the fun part. But yeah,
Janet got me at the end of the last one, so yeah.
Yeah, she's passed away, and if I could have one more meal with her.
I think we all have somebody like that we just like to talk to. Just one more time.
One more time.
Because you never know.
Yeah.
Life is short.
That's
Be
very
silly.
short.
Be weird. Mine is always be weird. Life's too short.
It's too short.
Life's too short. So thank you guys so much for being here. This has been so much fun. It's been inspirational for me. I'm going to go home and I'm going to think about a lot of this stuff that we've talked about today. And I hope to have you back real soon. Thanks for watching. This has been Stories from the River, our special series, Women in Leadership. And I'm your guest host, Hope Stocker. Have a good one. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Stories from the River. To check out more episodes, visit storiesfromtheriver.com. Join us again next week, and remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast.